RosterWatch Nation, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of the epic RosterWatch radio and YouTube program here on RosterWatch on YouTube and on podcast. Make sure you click that like button, click subscribe, as things are starting to churn faster and faster as we get near this season in just a mere, I don't know what it is, 3 weeks before training camps get underway, and maybe 4 or 5 weeks before Trash Man, myself, Byron, and Alex are out on the road getting to a couple of these camps throughout the month of August. You should be tapped into everything, RosterWatch.com. Get the cheat sheet over there right now. The PPR one is up on the site, as well as a multitude of the tools. But today, I'm Cody Carpentier, joined, as always, by the Trash Man. Alex is still out of the office, enjoying some beach weather up in Boston. So we're going to be here talking about the top regression candidates at the quarterback position heading into the 2025 season. Trashman, how the hell we doing?
You know, it's been a rough weekend here in Central Texas, but we're making the most of it.
Yeah, I heard you got some rain and some flooding and stuff, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in Central Texas right now as that number continues to climb, unfortunately. But we hope that more people are found and more things go in the positive direction in Central Texas. But let's start with some of these regression quarterbacks. Who's the first one that kind of comes to your mind when you think about the 2025 season and someone that's maybe not going to live up to the hype?
I mean, I think it was probably the top guy for both of us, and that's Jaden Daniels of the Commanders. I mean, over 3,500 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, over 900 rushing yards. And to top that off with an NFC Championship appearance, to me, it seems like he's the most likely candidate for regression in his second year. We often see with quarterbacks in their second years of regression. We saw it with Brock Purdy most recently. Just these guys, once teams get tape on these guys, it's not quite as easy for them to produce like they did in their rookie seasons. Daniels may well be the exception to that rule, but chances are more than likely that he regresses this season.
That's my big question, I think, going into the season, because I saw him firsthand at training camp last year, and I was like, man, this guy is special. But I think with all these rookies, you have that same question: is the defensive coordinators in today's day and age of the NFL are so advanced that we often see the second full season come down to just more interceptions. They throw the ball seemingly around the same area, but it's less efficient. The one thing about Washington is that they have added some weapons. They're probably going to get younger as the season goes on at tight end. They added Deebo Samuel, a couple of weapons around there. Like the offensive line's improved, so they've done things the right way, not really in line with what we saw from the Houston situation last year with C.J. Stroud, who was the rookie of the year, and then his offensive line sort of caved in on him. He lost a bunch of talent on the outside, and he regressed from 4,100 yards down to 3,700 yards, went from 5 picks to 12 picks, a 2.3% interception ratio from 1% up. Other quarterbacks the last half decade, Patrick Mahomes we'll call it his second NFL season, because that was his first. So the 1 year he sat the entire season, he had 5,000. Third year went down to 4,000. 50 touchdowns, 12 picks to 26 touchdowns, 5 picks. Justin Herbert, of course, won Rookie of the Year over Justin Jefferson. He actually went up from 4,300 to 5,000 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks, up to 38 touchdowns, but he also had 15 picks, so 5 more. And then Joe Burrow, who didn't play a full rookie season, 2,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1.2% interception ratio. And then in the second season, up to 70% completion percentage, 34 touchdowns, 14 picks. So it's kind of ebbs and flows. That's kind of like the guys of the last couple of years that have had those big rookie years or big second years, I guess, in Patrick Mahomes' case. I'll be very interested to see what the Jaden Daniels things comes to be, because unlike Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, he has the rushing upside. He has the rushing ability. He has the Lamar Jackson, the Michael Vick feature, where it's like you can, in fantasy football, you got that potential 600, 700, 800, 900 yard rushing season under your belt. I like Washington a lot, but I do think when you look at Jaden Daniels and kind of what we got last year out of Jaden Daniels from a fantasy football perspective, which was quite literally the quarterback 5 on the season in total fantasy points at the position. I think through the regression, I don't think it's.
And you want to get a balanced attack if you are the Commanders. You want to take some of the onus off of Daniels. You want to use that running game.
Is Brian Robinson enough to do that? Because they didn't do anything. They had a Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who I like. We saw him at the Shrine Bowl, but is that enough to really fulfill?
Debo Samuel's like not having another running back there too.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I was gonna say because my thought is like Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler, but he's aging to the point where it's almost like he can't really be looked at as a dependable 17-game asset in the running game. We saw last year him lean more towards the receiving game, and he's good at it. But this is Brian Robinson's backfield. I just wonder, like you said, Debo Samuel brings a different element to this backfield that should assist. I feel better about Daniels right now than I feel like we should have felt a year ago with the CJ Stroud hindsight. Because last year we were talking about CJ Stroud as a top 3 quarterback in Dynasty, and I was like, and now when you look back at hindsight and you're like, man, we should have never done that given the offensive line. And really, I mean, we like Tank Dell and stuff like this, but he really wasn't that elite of a situation when you look at it from a multi-year standpoint.
That's true.
Multi-year standpoint, Sam Darnold has not had a good multi-year career. He had one good season in Minnesota this last year. This is the other guy that came to mind right away was Sam Darnold when talking about regression in 2025, because simply he was in what I think is the best situation for any quarterback right now in the NFL. He had 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 picks in 2024 with the Vikings. In the 4 previous seasons before that, he played in almost 40 games, actually exactly 40 games, and he totaled exactly 27 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. Last year, 35 touchdowns, 12 picks. He now goes to the Seattle Seahawks, where he doesn't have Justin Jefferson anymore, or Jordan Addison, or TJ Hawkinson, or a top 5 offensive line. He actually has a bottom 5 offensive line. He has a good running back in Ken Walker and Charbonnet. He has Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp, but a new offensive coordinator in Seattle. I don't know if he falls back into being a pumpkin, because I think he's learned a lot in his career and progressing through the last couple of years under Kyle Shanahan and under Kevin O'Connell. But I don't think we see anything near what we saw this last year, at least in the first 15 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you say bottom 5 offensive line doesn't bode well for Sam Darnold under center. He's somebody who wilt under pressure, you could say. So if they're getting more pressure to him, chances are he's not going to improve as a passer much, if at all. I mean, he's got those good short to intermediate, route receivers, which helps out. But this is also an offense that's going to be predicated on the run, as it should be. Any Sam Darnold offense should be predicated on something other than Sam Darnold, really. So it should be predicated on the run and the short passing game. So the thing is, he's probably not going to get the deep bombs that he got to Justin Jefferson last season, even if he does do well in the passing game here. So with shorter range artillery, you could say, to speak, and an improved running back core, but a worse offensive line. To me, these all kind of line Darnold up to not have as productive a year in fantasy, even if he is successful there in Seattle.
If you're looking to prepare for the upcoming season, go over to RosterWatch.com. You can get up to version 1.2 of the Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet. PPR version, half-inch standard, will be up within the next couple of weeks. The strength of schedule and fast start tools for running back and wide receiver are up over there at RosterWatch.com, as well as the Bust and Monsters tools and the season-long Vegas props tool featuring the top 50 wide receivers by ADP. Go over to RosterWatch.com, use that promo code, the QR code in the top right side of the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. Trashman, who's the next quarterback?
Next quarterback for me, it's got to be It's got to be Baker Mayfield. What'd you say?
I said, ugh. It was like a, because I
I mean,
kind of agree with you.
and it's basically just because of his unsustainable touchdown rate.
Yeah.
He was tied for second in the league in 2024 in touchdown throws, with 41. And then he added, 3 rushing touchdowns, putting him at 44 touchdowns on the season, which would put him at third overall behind Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Like I said, 4,500 yards, exactly 4,500 yards. That's interesting. But I think just that clip is just largely unsustainable for a player of Mayfield's ilk, especially when you have a running game that's pretty. I mean, you got a good 1-2 punch there in his 2 young running backs. So I know they have improved the receiving game with Emeka Egbuka. I mean, I don't know if it's improved it as so much as it's helped sustain it to where it probably already was. But it just seems to me like these are unsustainable numbers for Mayfield.
He was one I looked at, and to be quite honest, I thought about writing down Baker, so it would have made sense to just do it because, like you said, he kind of had. I mean, he was QB4 overall in fantasy points last year, 17 ahead of Jaden Daniels. They both played full seasons, and of course, Daniels added a ton in the rushing perspective of that. The 3 quarterbacks ahead of both those guys are the well-known Burrow, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. And Baker, like, I was thinking the cross positionally of like regression guys, and like Mike Evans came up because Mike Evans for the last 3 years feels like he could be in this department of like regression at that position. Godwin's dealing with his injuries. We think he'll be back, but it's McMillan. Like they added Buka, a couple new weapons. Like it feels like there's enough weaponry. That's kind of where I came around to. I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to go here. And then I was like,
weaponry, but it just, to me, those just seem like unsustainable numbers, regardless of who you're throwing the ball to.
Exactly. Plus the new offensive coordinator situation.
Right.
Plus Liam Cohen leaves. I just think it's natural. It's going to be almost impossible for Baker to grow upon a 71%, 4,500 yard, 41 touchdown season. I think the one name that I thought about putting on here, I didn't write him down, is Geno Smith. But Geno Smith, 4,300 yards, 70% completion percentage, only had 21 touchdowns and had 15 picks last year. In fantasy, he finished as QB 13 in Seattle. He now goes to the Raiders. I actually don't think he should qualify. I think when he goes to the Raiders, I think it's an offense with Pete Carroll. You had Genty, you got Bowers, you got some weaponry around him, and Dante Thornton and Jack Besh and Jacoby Myers. I thought before I dove into the numbers that Geno Smith would be on here. You don't have Geno on here, do you?
No.
Okay. Who do you got?
Oh, I wanted more reason for Geno, but for me, it's another one. A guy who's going to regress to me is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there's a chance that he gets benched at some point in the season for Will Howard. I mean, Rodgers is 42. I mean, we've seen that he's injury prone. He lacks mobility. This O-line is suspect at best in Pittsburgh. I mean, the thing is, his best days are just likely behind him. I guess he has a marquee receiver in DK Metcalf to rival what he had in Garrett Wilson, but he doesn't have he had Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. He just has DK Metcalf really in Pittsburgh this season. Like I said, he's a year older. He didn't finish the last season without injury. What makes you think he's going to do it this season? Being a year older, but being behind, an offensive line that is on par, if not worse, than what they had in New York.
I kind of want to combat you just because I think he's in a situation where he can perform better. I think the offensive line is going to be an upgrade from what he had in New York. I think they'll have a more sustainable run game. He was QB 15 overall, but he was QB 38 on a fantasy points per drop back perspective last year.
I mean, he's also QB number 8, 7, tied tied for 6th or 7th in touchdown passes in 2024, tied with Josh Allen. So to me, that seems less sustainable.
I can follow you there for the touchdown perspective with the running game in Pittsburgh, and the overall weaponry. I guess is just they got John. 28's a good number. I think his prop number. I think I talked about this on the Hot Takes show I did a couple weeks ago. I think his prop number was set at 22.5 passing touchdowns, so that would make sense.
Yeah,
I like Pittsburgh. That's my problem.
A year older, more injury prone these days. He doesn't have any of the safety blankets he's had or he's been able to have on these last few teams. That he's kind of been able to cultivate an experience for himself.
Yeah,
on his last couple of teams that he's not going to be able to do this season.
Yeah, he's going to have bank on the growth of Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin or the aging Robert Woods. We'll see if those things come to fruition. I don't know if I like the Aaron Rodgers one, but I'll give it to you. You got any more?
Let's see. I don't know if this really counts because his biggest season was in 2023. His numbers dipped in 2024. But if we're comparing him to his best season, then Brock Purdy could have a regression again in 2025. If we're expecting him to get back up to his 2023 numbers, they dipped in 2024, 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had a lot of injuries to his key players, and the thing is, he's going to have a healthy Christian McCaffrey back, so that takes some of the onus off of him in the running game. The running game is going to be better overall with the options that they have there. I just think if we're expecting Brock Purdy to bounce back to 2023 numbers, I think we may be mistaken there. I don't know if we'll ever really see Brock Purdy perform like he did in 2023 again. So I guess that's kind of dubious considering I'm comparing him to his 2023 numbers, but I don't see him really having what you'd call like a real bounce back year in 2025.
You've gotten completely swindled at the quarterback position in your 1 QB seasonal draft, and you fall into the 10th round, and you're thinking about drafting Brock Purdy, and you don't like anybody else around that range. Do you take Purdy in the 10th round, or do you ship it down to the 16th, and do you take a Aaron Rodgers type?
Purdy in the 10th seems early to me. If I can get Purdy in the 12th, I'm a little bit more amenable to that. 10th seems early for me. Yeah, if I can get Aaron Rodgers in the 16th, there's a lot of value I think to be had in those rounds in between there. So yeah, I'd take Rodgers.
Regression is coming, but if there's value is always something I want.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.